Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Call to Compete podcast, where the game meets the gospel. And one of the main purposes of this show is just to celebrate all that God has done in the college ministry here with FCA at Northern Kentucky University and Thomas More University. And with us today, we have an alumni of NKU. We have Treyvin Moss with us today, former NKU baseball player. Mossy, how we doing today?
Doing great, brother. Appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to it.
Dude, yeah, you're looking good. You're doing the thing, man. You're adulting, all the stuff. But let's go back. Just jump right in. Let's go right back to early days of Treyvin. What was life like? Family, faith. Just kind of give us a quick history lesson.
Yeah. So first things first, I know you said like a little bit different from the ball uniform and how we connected on the diamond. I know this is like faith in sports, but I mean the gospel goes, everywhere, no matter whether that's in a suit or in a baseball diamond, wherever it may be. So Nate, just want to say thanks for having me on there for sure. But yeah, so going back, just to share a little bit of the story from, where I first started, how I was kind of grown up, and then we'll kind of go on from there. But so Nate, I growing up, I had always been a part of the church. So it's cool that this podcast is about faith and sports because that was my whole life growing up. And so, it started when I was super young. My grandpa had been a pastor for probably 50 years. He actually just retired this year from being a pastor. My mom, my aunt, always on the worship team. Like I just grew up in church. I grew up knowing God, or at least thinking that I knew God and who He was at that point. So I will say, like, really strong background in faith from that perspective. So thankful that my family allowed me to grow up to at least be around it and know that. But on the flip side of that, sports were everything, right? So for me, it was like baseball since I was like 2 years old. If I could put a bat in the hand, my dad had a bat in my hand, and I was playing ball all the time, all day long, every weekend there. And so, big part of my life again was faith and sports, which kind of led me to again like getting to NKU and playing the game that I love. So I'll give you a little background of how I got to NKU because it was a pretty wild ride, I would say, and unlike most.
And we're on video call, so you're not in Northern Kentucky. So you grew up Fort Wayne, right? Like that was kind of the whole time. Yeah.
That's right. Yep, yep. So grew up Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was not a Northern Kentucky native by any means. So it was funny. I didn't have a college offer until basically my senior year of high school. So very late. I was getting a bunch of like D2, NAI, D3, NAIAs, JUCOs, just no really like good or big offers for that matter, right? And me, I was like, oh, like something will happen, right? Like I was very optimistic about what could come, and so uh,
Which I
I
feel like
actually,
that's something God's put in you because most people are stressed out, freaking out. It's late in the year, but I feel like you've just had that optimism that served you well. That's I think it even started back then.
yeah, it was the faith. It's the foundation, like just the hope that there is more on the other side, and we'll kind of get into that as we go further too. But yeah, to your point, like I was like, there's something out there, and I just knew, but I didn't fully know. So it was just the faith aspect there. But um, yeah, so had a great senior year of high school. Did some really cool things for the high school and where we're at there, and ended up I was the guy that was 18 years old still playing summer ball because typically like after senior year you're not going to play
Yeah.
summer ball. Like you're like, I'm done, I'm going to go train, get ready for college, we're good. Well, I was like, I had an opportunity to play with the Midwest Rangers, which Mike Bolin,
Mhm.
Michael Bolin. Yep. So his dad, this is a wild story. Now I don't get to bring this up much, but his dad was the coach of the team, and I guess like started the team a while back. And Michael Bolin was on that team as well. He was committed to NKU already. Okay. So one of the tournaments that we had was at NKU. So we went to NKU. Again, I'm not committed. I don't really have any offers at this point. Well, Michael, since he's committed, Coach Aslan comes out and is like, let me check out what's going on. Nate, I can't tell you the weekend that I had to be God, like, and him showing up. I'm not kidding. Like, I probably got out like twice all weekend. I mean, like showing every part of the game off, like singles, stolen bags, doubles, triples, no home runs because I didn't have it like that at that point. That's okay. But just played really, really well. And then after the game, Michael's dad came up to me and was just like, hey, like Aslan said he saw some really good things and that, there could be some opportunity. And I'm like, great. Love that. Yeah, let's talk. So long story short, ended up being a walk-on. So no scholarship, no money, like, hey, just like come and try it out. And for
Right.
me, my main goal ever since I was young was like, I want to play at the top level of baseball that I could possibly be at. The reason I thought that, Nate, is because I wanted the biggest challenge,
Mm.
right? Like I was like, if I play the D1 schools, that means I'm playing against better competition, which is only going to make me better on the other side. So started at NKU. I'll share this and we can clip this however you want, Nate, because I know we're just chatting here. But um, got off on the wrong foot. And you're probably thinking about what actually happened freshman year, but it was actually before I started there. So I had a news guy come to my house. And I don't even know if you know this, Nate, yet, but had a news guy come to my house after I committed to NKU. And he was asking me, what's the plans for next year? What does this look like? And I was like, oh, yeah, like Coach Aslan has shared with me that I'm going to be like work my way right into the lineup, like second base at the time, because I was a shortstop. So he was like, hey, we don't have a second baseman. Like, it's yours to earn. And I'm
Mm.
like, great. Like, love that. So I'm going to come in, like, I'm going to play, I'm going to make an impact immediately. And let's just say that team did not like that from a 18-year-old kid coming in thinking that he knew it or had it all figured out. So I learned that the hard way. So first step was, just got off on the right foot in the locker room and things like that. But again, now all of those guys are great friends of mine, and we're past that now. But so that was the first step, and then secondly, so we start NKU, and about probably a month into starting at NKU, I had got a call at the time, and I'm open about this because it's a part of my story and my testimony. But I was doing things that I should not have, and thought I could get away and just escape keep cleanly, but got caught up there. And then next thing you know, got another call a couple weeks later for another
Oh,
one. Yep. And you can only imagine that that one didn't go as planned as either. And next thing you know, I'm suspended 7 games, and I haven't even touched the ball diamond yet. And we're 2 months into NKU, 2 months into NKU. I barely know anyone. I'm not from the area. I haven't even really made friends yet. I was kind of just doing my own thing, just alone, right?
yeah.
And doing that. So, long story short, I don't know if it's because of that, and probably a little bit to do with like my game and uh, abilities and growing that. But Aslan has decided to redshirt me
Hmm.
at that time, and at the time, I'm like, really? Like, I feel like I'm hitting with the best of them. Like, I'm doing well. Like, I'm doing some good things, and I feel like I could impact the team. Well, it's the best decision. I mean, I still thank Aslan to this day. I just saw him probably where were we at the NKU first pitch dinner or something like that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, Aslan, like best decision you could have ever made by far. So I redshirted my first year. Then we get to my second year. I did have to sit out 7 games, and I'm pretty sure I started every single game from that point forward.
After that, yeah.
Yep. Yep. One thing that I'll share, and then I'll kind of highlight, where we're heading with this. But one of the biggest things for me, I remember calling my dad after I had got redshirted. And I said, I want to leave. I'm done. This is not for me. I don't have any friends. I don't feel like I'm connecting well with people. And no, if you know my dad is the type that says that is not going to fly at all. He said, you are going to find a way. You are going to work harder than anyone around you. You're going to put in more time, more effort. And if you really want it, you can make it happen.
Mhm.
And so what did I do? I early mornings, late nights, just continuing to work hard. And I didn't even really have what I was working for. I just was like, I'm just going to keep putting in work, and hopefully this gives me a spot on the field and a spot in
Mhm.
the lineup. So, obviously good things happen from there, where after the suspension, then I start, and, the rest is kind of history from there. But I took that principle with me and I still apply it to this day, right? Where whatever you want is on the other side of the work and the price that you're willing to pay. And I still see that today
Mhm.
in the business world, right? Where there's going to be people that have have it figured out, or maybe have better skills or better opportunities, but there's not anybody that can't go find a way to work hard for it and achieve that. So,
Yeah,
um,
well,
yeah,
just real quick, just want to hop in. I think I when I hear you talk about that, I just think about in Hebrews 12, it
mm,
talks about fixing our eyes on the Lord and stripping away anything that can easily entangle us. So if we want to go to a new place, it's kind of the offense of the hard work, but then it's also the defense of cutting away or stripping away the things that are holding us back. And I just heard you describe both of those, and that's a huge part of any of our faith journeys. There's this proactive pursuit of God, but there's also this like sacrifice that's involved too if you want to go to a different place. So I just love that combination that you experienced in kind of real time.
that's so cool, man. And I'll share. I kind of want to dive one step deeper on that to say that it's uncomfortable.
Mm,
Like that is uncomfortable. Even in Hebrews, what you had just shared with me, like it's not easy. And I think a lot of people can get it twisted that there's an easy route or an easy road. And so, in order to strip and get rid of some of those things that require you to get rid of to get to where you want to go, it is going to be uncomfortable, right? But I feel like that's where growth comes from, is
mm.
getting uncomfortable and taking a look at the mirror to say, well, hold myself accountable. Where's the self accountability to get to where I want to go? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
that's good.
Appreciate you sharing that.
So that's kind of the freshman year journey. Well,
Yep.
redshirt, and then going into sophomore year, your redshirt freshman year, you hop right in. Uh, there was those middle years we kind of discussed were uh, not carbon copies of each other, but there's a little bit of hey,
Yeah.
we're in Northland, we're playing baseball, we're still kind of developing. Team wide, there's not a ton of success going on. Then there's a coaching change kind of in the middle of that with the pitching coach Dizzy Payton becomes now the head coach and trying to set just a different culture and kind of his own way of doing it, just being at the helm. So, what was that transition like for you? And then kind of go into let's talk senior year because that was a big one.
Yeah, senior year was the biggest year for multiple different reasons. So we'll get into that. But to describe the transition, um, it's what we needed from a culture standpoint for the Norse. Again, like past coaching staff, like great,
Okay,
great
laid the
relationship.
foundation and
Laid
longevity.
the
Oh
foundation.
man,
Yeah, like
sure.
the stuff that we experienced in senior year and those years, like it doesn't happen overnight. It's years and years and years of building. So yeah, I mean, Dizzy Payton, I could get emotional talking right now about Dizzy and the staff and what we had because they're a huge part of what we did. And, obviously great people and led well, right, for us.
Mhm.
So the transition was great. I think we needed that. And, we stepped up and it didn't happen overnight. So we did have the transition and it took a couple years to still get to where we wanted to be. And I'll also say this, Nate, before I dive into senior year, I have to shout out Liam, Jo, Benny, the guys that were like the core of we've been there since 0 and 20,
Yeah,
our COVID year, right?
yeah, right.
Bottom of the barrel, bottom of the league, and just grinding one day after another to get to, what I'm about to share here senior year. So, yeah. So let's talk going into my senior year first. So, kind of broke the hand and that kind of story and
Yeah,
who I was talking with and whatnot. So, yeah, my senior year before my last year, which was my grandpa year, we'll call
yeah.
it.
We'll
I
just
don't
call it
know.
your fourth year and your fifth year. Let's do
4th
that.
and 5th year, that's easy. So, my 4th year, coming into it was like, hey, like, obviously the goal is to get drafted, maybe hit the portal, see what we can do, see if there's opportunities that come from that. So that's what I did. Jumped in the portal, was having a pretty good year. Like I like to say that I just had an average career up until my last year, when the flip really, really
Mhm.
switched, but, had a pretty good year, entered the portal, like probably midway through the year. And we had no clue why we waited so long. I remember Dents looking at me and was like, why have you not been in the portal? And I'm like, I don't know. Shouldn't we have probably figured this out? But no, we got in and I was like, we'll just see what happens. We'll see what comes. I loved NKU. Didn't really, I mean, if a bigger opportunity came, great. But if not, like NKU was home for me. So I remember I put my name in the portal and I had some smaller schools reach out. I'm like, okay, like probably just smaller schools going to reach out.
Um,
Well, next thing you know, then I answer a phone call and it's Clemson. Oh, got it. Okay, this is getting real. Clemson calls, South Carolina calls, USC calls, and I'm talking with all their coaches. Those are probably three of the biggest. I mean, I talked with Nebraska a little bit as well. So I'll tell you this, though, greatest learning point. So although I was talking with, Clemson, USC, South Carolina, really big schools. I remember South Carolina at the time was like third in the nation. And
mhm,
I'm like,
yeah.
we're talking about like getting flown out and like coming to a game and touring facilities and all this. So I'm on cloud nine. And biggest learning point was that I wasn't prepared for those calls. I thought that it was just going to be, maybe some mid major, smaller D1s. And then I was like, oh, wow, these are legit schools that are top in the country. And I didn't feel worthy really at the time of getting that call from a personal perspective. And so learned a lot through that shortly after, probably about 2 weeks after. And I think the Lord always has a funny way of making everything work out according to his plan. And so it worked out perfectly. I did end up breaking my hand, a bone in my hand here that, you know, after that, I stopped getting calls. I stopped getting
Mhm.
texts. And from there, it was like, we're not willing to roll the dice on that. And I was out for the rest of the year. I was then going to have to, miss some of the fall leading up into the next year. So still had some mid majors and schools like that were reaching out. But uh, ended up deciding to, I was like, hey, didn't really have any of the big offers I was looking for at the time. So decided to call NKU home for another year, which was my fifth year at the time. And yeah,
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but our main connection kind of began with me just being invited in to kind of help out with the baseball team, like leadership character stuff. And there wasn't a whole lot of like direct FCA, like you weren't coming to all the Monday nights or anything, but we had Subway lunch
yes, we
multiple
did.
times. And I remember some of those conversations, like exactly what you were talking about. You were getting some of those calls. You're like, I don't feel worthy to like blowing my mind that I'm even getting some of these calls initially. And I think it was important for you to have that, even though you stayed at NKU, you had this confirmation that like a healthy Moss would get those types of calls, and I think that eventually added like the end result was you had more confidence going into the following year. Had you not had that, I just thought that was a pretty interesting, like kind of formative, like few weeks for you too.
Totally. And I'm so glad you brought that up because some of these details get like, I'm like, oh man, I forgot that. But I remember vividly our subway talks and conversations because I mean, you were super impactful like in that journey and you have been, which is going to lead to, the baptism and things like that. But like being able to have like someone who loved Jesus, had a firm foundation, to be able to like, I didn't have that truthfully. And so I was like, man, I need someone with some wisdom, some guidance. Like I feel like I'm going through this alone and I just don't know like what's next or what decision. And so again, like the Lord works things out exactly how they should be, and which leads to again making the decision that I'm coming back to NKU for my last year, final year. And you know, it was the best year, the best thing that ever happened to me. When you're going through the things that you're going through, you may not see the light at the tunnel at all times. But looking back, you start to see how the Lord really shows up and how He's never left. He's always been there through everything. Even when you think He's farthest, it's actually like when He is the closest, and He's right there next to you. And so, kind of leads me into the last year where it was the most impactful year of my life by far. So, again, I was all in on NKU, knew that we were going to do some great things. We had all the boys returning, Jo, Mac,
Mhm.
Benny. Like we were like, guys, this is it. I remember having a conversation with John Odom that it was in August before the season has started. We were in the weight room and we looked at each other and said, this is it.
It's time.
Like our backs are against the wall. Like we have to go. Like this is it. It's now or never. Like we put the last 5 years into what we're building and what we're doing. Like we got to give it all we got. Get chills talking about this right now, by the way. Uh, was super cool that we had always, known that good and special things that were going to happen. So, um, I also got to let me transition into the senior year or that last final year and what really shaped our season and where we were at. So, fun fact, I barely played in the fall. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was hurt. I was dealing with the hand still, trying to get rehab. I would come back because knowing me, like I never wanted to sit out. So I was like still trying to find a way to hit. And the trainers are like, Treyvin, stop. Like we
Yep.
just need to
Doing
keep you forward.
camera on the field with the mini junior hag trying to get some swings in.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I'm hitting one handed, like just trying to find a way to stay in it. So basically, like all fall, I wasn't like fully healthy. I will say that. And so just kind of doing what I can. Now I have to shout out the biggest turning point in my life. And this was years prior, but Zach Minton, Manny Voorhees, like
Mhm.
these guys changed my life and the trajectory of where I'm at today. I still talk with both of them and share how much of an impact they've had to who I am today. But they always carried a Bible with them. They always had worship music on no matter where we were at, whether that was in the car, whether that was at their house. And I'm like, man, again, knowing my background, I always grew up in church, grew up around the word, but I didn't fully know. The coolest thing about this, Nate, and where my journey with Christ kind of had started, these guys showed me love when I didn't feel worthy of it.
That's right.
These guys showed up and invited me places where I said, why would you invite me? We're polar opposites. We are literally as about polar opposite as we can get. Like, why are you pouring into me? And I didn't realize that yet. They kept inviting me over for dinner. They kept sharing the good news. I would keep asking questions. I would hear the worship music they're playing and ask them certain questions and things like that. Or they'd have their Bible out. And I'm like, oh man, like I'd share my journey and, my background.
And
So
they
I
always
knew
had worship type walkout songs too.
always had worship type walkout songs, like just, they were really great examples. And I'll tell you what, the reason my faith is where it's at today and how I've grown in that is because of number one, Jesus.
Sure.
But number two is Manny and Mitt. Like those are the two biggest influences on that. And my biggest takeaway is that they showed me what Christ's love truly is. They showed me that although we may not see eye to eye, that we may be completely different from one another, that I still love you and I see the best for you.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that, nor did I feel worthy of that. And so that truly transformed my journey with Christ and just saying, man, like we created a bond and a friendship that I was able to ask tough questions, that they were able to challenge me. And this was years in the making. Okay. So that was my biggest turning point, was them two guys. Yeah.
When did you have the extended conversation with Zach Minton in his car where he got into the trunk and got his Bible back out and y'all had a pretty
Yeah.
lengthy back and forth? Do you remember that?
Yep. So I'll share this that was all the time. Like, I'm not kidding. This was so I always asked really, really good questions because I was always curious. Like, I grew up in the church, but like these were two guys that actually lived it. And so I would always ask a bunch of questions. So what Minton and I would do is whether we were before lifts, we had like 30 minutes or an hour before lifts. He'd drive me to lifts. We'd play worship music. I'd ask him questions. We'd get in the word. After workouts, there'd be times we would sit for 1, 2, 3 hours in his car. And I'm like, dude, it's pitch black out. Like it's 9 o'clock. I have to go home. Like I have to go home. We got weights tomorrow morning or practice or whatever. And I was just, again, like he would always have the Bible. We'd have great conversations. And there was a turning point where he looked at me. Biggest question that I've ever been asked. He said, Trayvon, on a scale of 1 to 10, if God were to call you home today, would you make it to heaven? Like on a scale of 1 to 10? And I said, maybe like a 6. maybe a 6, I guess. Like, I mean, maybe, but like maybe not. I
Right.
don't know. And he's like, Trayvin, the answer's simple. It's either a 1 or it's a 10. There is no halfway. Like it's either you're all in or you're all out, right? In the eyes or the lens of Jesus. And so that hit me. Like that was a turning point. I thought about that. I still think about that to this day. Like, and he told me something that stuck with me. He said, Trayvin, my answer is a 10. And I was like, great. Like, why is that? He said, not because of what I do,
That's right.
but what Jesus did for me. It still rings true. And I still think about it to this day. And I still talk with Mitten about that and about like, dude, remember you asked me that question? And remember that? And now I can confidently say that I'm a 10. And it's not because of what I done or what I do or my works or doing the XYZ. It's because of what Jesus did for me and on the cross. And so, that was a super impactful question that he had shared with me there. Let's fast forward to, kind of where my faith journey led from there. So probably a month or two after that, we had weights one day. We get done with weights. I'm the last person there, and Mitten was the last car there. I'm like, where's Mitten at? Like, I don't even know where this guy's at. So I call him, and he's like, hey, dude, I'm coming out right now. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we start talking like we normally do after weights. We start talking, and he shares that he has a missions trip opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic and serve. And I was like, oh, dude, that's super cool. I've always wanted to go on a mission trip, man, but like never. And he's like, dude, you should so go. Like you definitely should go. And I'm like, yeah, but like, man, that's not for me. Like that just isn't it. And he's like, brother, like just pray on it. I'll be praying for you. Pray on it. Like if the Lord presses that on your heart, like, dude, would love for you to be there. Shortly after, maybe a couple weeks or so, like I was like, Mitt, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, dude, you were doing your due diligence, man. You called me up, you're asking me all these questions, and then I told you that Dizzy had gone. You're like, Dizzy went, dude. As soon as we get done talking, I'm gonna call him about. Like, it like blew your mind, but you were
Yeah.
like, dude, you're not just gonna go sight unseen. You're gonna do some homework before you make that. So I knew you really counted the cost and had to wait.
I called like 5 different people to just see like, hey, are we sure that I should be going? Like what everyone had great things to say. They said it was super impactful. And again, Nate, go back to Hebrews of what you just shared with me, that there are certain things that have to happen to get to where you want to go, right? And you have to get out of your comfort zone and
Mhm.
strip things away. And so, one of the things is that I did not want to go. I didn't want to go all the way, even up until like we landed in the DR. I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Am I sure I should be here right now? Like, what is this? Uh, that trip changed my life, totally transformed my life. Couple different reasons. Number one was the service, the impact that we had on these kids, seeing how passionate, how positive, how much joy they had for just the littlest things in life. Like they would give anything for the lives that we have and what we live. And so that was number one. And number two, so I'll share. I remember one of the nights I go in. You're gonna have to clip this because I'm thinking about this. Okay, so by the way, are we good on time here?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, I'll kind of roll through this and
You're
make
good.
it work. But so I remember there was one night where Mitten had gotten a text from Aaron at this point, and it was about a baptism. And I didn't know this at the point. So Mitten comes to me and he's like, hey, Trevin, can I bring you outside real quick and just talk with you? I'm like, yeah, cool. We're walking out of the door. As soon as we about walk out of the door to shut the door, Lucas Golchinski from the showers yells out, Moss, have you ever thought about getting baptized? Like randomly. I mean, like this was the most random. I don't even know what was going on.
And he's in a cold shower, by the way, too. So somehow he had the clarity of thought to ask that question while he's enduring a cold shower. Anyway, I just had to.
Freezing cold shower. Okay. And as he says that, Mitten goes, no way. And I'm like, what? And he's like, Aaron just texted me saying that her and I should get baptized tomorrow. And so next thing you know, we're like, oh my gosh, like, what? Mitten pulls me aside and we start talking about baptism and if I've ever been baptized. And, I'm like, yeah, when I was a kid, like, yeah. And he's like, so what are your thoughts on it? We start having this conversation. I said, I think it's time. Like, it's time to make the decision that my hope and my faith is in Jesus and publicly declare that. And so that's what I did. That next night, it was New Year's of 2023. It was like December 31st of 2023, like right before the fireworks and everything. I'll never forget
You
it.
rented out that pool.
Yep.
It was a movie, man.
Yeah, we rented out the pool. Like, we had a great view. Like, oh man, it was amazing. And we ended up, thanks to you, you baptized me that night. And here's the thing, Nate, that I have a really strong view on baptism because of that night. I know baptism doesn't necessarily save you. It is, faith in Jesus that does that. But I believe that that was the actual turning point. Like, I think getting baptized, publicly declaring that my faith and hope was in Jesus, completely flipped the switch for me. It is only by the grace of Jesus that my life started to change. And what I mean by that is how I talked, my actions, how I treated people, the music that I listened to, how I showed up in conversations, like everything from that point on started to change. And a couple days later, we head back to the States. And I'll never forget getting back to the locker room and the guy saying, who are you? Who are you? And I'm like jamming worship music in the locker room. I have worship music going on in my car. I'm starting to speak more freely about what happened, in the DR, what led to my decision, and just again, like not cussing anymore, like little things that were like, Treyvin, like this is not you, brother. And I'm like, I know, I get it. It's not me, but here's what happened. Let me tell you more. Right. And it's cool because then I was able to, witness and share the testimony of what the Lord has done. And I didn't even really like fully understand or grasp. Like, people are like, Trayvon, why? And I'm like, it's Jesus. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know why I'm not cursing anymore. I don't know why I'm not listening to the secular music that I was prior. Like, my life has started to change. And so the Lord has truly transformed, that part of my life and still continues to this day. And that, yeah,
I was
yep,
gonna say, we also had, so you had Zach there with you, had a couple other teammates,
yep,
myself, shout out Larry for,
Larry.
organizing those trips, and then we also had Manny Voorhees FaceTimed in somehow in the DR, and dude,
Yeah.
when you came up out of there and you walked over and we were, like, cheering, homie was just balling because I know he was, a dear
Yep.
friend and a key part of that too, so that was just, that's
Totally.
just seared in my brain, just that whole scenario was amazing.
Yep. Yeah, it was Manny and all of his family on FaceTime. And, this was super cool looking back, Nate. I've never shared this with you. I didn't know that we were supposed to keep our shirts on for baptism.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're in the pool, shirt off, like, let's go. Like, I think the Lord just knew I needed to be wiped like fully clean. Like, hey, we need to take the shirt off too. Like, we need to get everything out here.
Yeah, I
And
didn't think about that detail beforehand, and then you asked later, like, "I don't nobody else really does that, you without their shirt on." I was like, "Dude, that's."
no one did it. And I still look at the video to this day and I'm like, I have no clue why I'm the only guy that took the shirt off, but I had no clue what I was doing. But hey, we did it and good things happened. So yeah, that was truly a turning point. And it led into the next year where we had the best year in NKU history. I had my personal best year, from an stat standpoint and what we accomplished. But man, we went on to win the first Horizon League championship in school history, which was super cool. And man, it's just really a testament to God,
Mhm.
and His grace, His love, like on our whole team. I would say, like, again, I feel like Jesus was working through just all different types of avenues through our roster, and you were a part of that, so you were kind of able to see how He was moving there. And then again, like, we accomplished some really, really cool things. And I'll never forget the best part of all of this. I was fortunate enough to win tournament MVP of the Horizon League tournament, and I have an interview after for ESPN. And I remember the first thing that I said, and it's cool how the Lord works because I had thought about this even prior after giving my life to Christ of like, man, this season is just like whatever happens, happens. It's in your hands, Lord, and what you want from me, you will make known.
Yeah, you were very
And
grounded on that. It wasn't like only if do I do good, do I think you're good. It was just like I'm good regardless, but we're gonna give everything we have. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm at peace with where I'm at and where I'm headed because of Him,
Mhm.
and because of Jesus. So, uh, yeah, so I remember like when I had gotten back, like again, and this is what I learned from the previous year of like breaking my hand and those college coaches and not being prepared is because like I didn't have the foundation. Like my identity was fully tied to the game and my results. And oh man, I got these big schools calling me, and I didn't know how to handle it. And so that was a huge, turning point for me as well. And then, yeah, then obviously, with the interview. So let's talk on that. I almost lost my train of thought for a minute there, but uh, the interview. So they had asked me, you know, Treyvin, what leads to your success and what we've seen here on the diamond? And I said, I want to thank my Lord in Christ, Jesus Christ. Totally fumbled it, like botched. And I've been thinking about this for months up until this point because I remember I'm like, Lord, if I ever get an opportunity to talk about like my results or our team results or whatever, like I am going to spread why we are seeing the success and what we're doing. I felt like a complete failure. Like I was like, I botched this. Everyone's like, oh, Treyvin, like you said, Lord and Christ, Jesus Christ. Like, and I meant to say like Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And here's the coolest thing about that, Nate. Every single person, there was only one part of the interview that they were stuck on. Lord and Christ, Jesus Christ.
It stuck out more.
Stuck out more. And I'm like, Lord, really? You had to make you had to do that. Like, yeah, I had to fumble that so that everyone could notice. But like, it's just funny how it works out. And so I was getting messages about like, oh man, like I see that you messed that, but I love that you shared that. And so like, although I got a text from my grandma after that said, uh, the Lord turns your mess into a message. That hit me. I get chills when I talk about it because it's so true. What we think's our failures, what we think's a mess, he uses for our good, to impact, to inspire, others and those around us. And so, um, again, man, did some really cool things. Went on to play in the regional, and then the season ended. And I want to touch on this, Nate. I know we're running up on time here, but just like
Like,
very
take your time. We're
quickly,
good.
yeah, I remember getting done with the college career, and we played our last game, and it was like, hey, man, this is it. And I still get this question to this day. Trayvon, do you miss ball? Do you miss playing? Do you miss like are you going to miss it? Like what do you feel? What's your feelings? And it's the same answer every single time. I'm at peace. Like I'm at peace because the Lord's plan for my life, I want to follow that.
Mm.
If that means playing pro ball, it's pro ball. If it means going into the real world and starting the real world, it's that. And I remember I had a couple opportunities to go play like independent ball and things like that. And I was weighing my options. Do I go start the big boy job and get into the real world? And, or do I go and, keep playing ball? And I remember, coming to a crossroads there. And I just thought, like, Lord, where do you want me? Where is it that like for my next phase of life and what we're going to do. And so I shortly after the season I proposed to my beautiful wife, Liv, and the rest is history. On that we've been married 2 years in October or in September now. Wow, you almost botched that, but that's fine. So ended up
And
getting
that
married.
was that we don't have to go all the way into that, but that was a journey too of just a
Mhm.
relationship with Lev and priorities there and factoring that in, even going upon graduation. And I know in Gospel of John it talks about peace I give to you, and it's not the peace that the world gives. It's a different kind of
Mm,
peace when it comes from the
yeah,
Lord, and He promises that. So I just love that you're experiencing that in very real ways and aware of that. It's awesome.
yep. I'll tell you this, Nate. I had a burning desire since I got back from the Dominican that again, this is talk about the desires start to change when you start giving, put your faith and hope in Jesus. Um, you don't start to get overwhelmed or overcome by your own desires of your heart, but more of like, what does he want for you? And I had a burning desire of like getting married and starting a family and having kids and like doing all these things. And so, again, that led to like when I did get married or I proposed, got married, and that led to the decision to where I'm at now, which is again, like, it's not about like, I didn't want my family to keep sacrificing for me. It was my time to go sacrifice for my wife,
Mhm.
for my future kids that I do not have yet. But that's all in the Lord's plan as well. And so I decided to step away from baseball, and I was so at peace with the decision because the desire to start the next phase of life for my family and starting to pour in and build something special, that we're building, currently there. So it has been a journey, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, but that's a part of it. And the Lord does work everything out for the good of those who love Him. And I'm living proof of that. And so now where I'm at today is, how do I continue to share that and impact others with how I show up? You talk about row the boat or energy bus, like you were a huge part in that. I still bring that up, Nate, to this day. So currently, like, I have a team that I run in the Fort Wayne office. I've been fortunate enough to, impact and lead and serve as best as I can. And again, that's just a testament to the Lord as well. And now I'm able to continue to pour in and give back because of, what He's done for us. So
Yeah.
very
So good.
blessed.
Yeah, you have a lot to lots of process there. I kind of see a little bit of a through line through your story of sort of the not feeling worthy. You like felt worthy, stopped feeling worthy, and then you kind of got some encouragement, and then the ultimate uh, feeling of worthiness was realizing that you couldn't make it on your own. That receiving that grace, that God is so good that He pursues us, and He thought we were worthy enough. So that's what defines us, not our own, just like circumstantial, what we would measure it by. And I feel like you've just been like anchored in that since then. I know you have a beautiful marriage with Liv. But let's just kind of, as we wrap up now, you're working in sort of the finance world. You have a team. You're doing the thing. You're building the marriage and in the home and all that. So what are some things currently, like kind of real time,
Mm.
Treyvin? What's God teaching you? What are some things that you're kind of processing here, just kind of in the recent weeks?
Yeah, it's such a phenomenal question, Nate. And I'll say this. Obviously, like, I do have the suit on, and it's different than the baseball uniform. So in a different setting. But yeah, I think the Lord for me right now, just like in the season, like, again, we are faced with, so right now, again, like running a wealth management team and like kind of doing that whole piece, like, there's ups and downs, right? Like, that's a part of life. And I think what I'm seeing is that we can't do it on our own. Like, we cannot do it on our own, whether that's from a marriage perspective or the business. And it ties back to a lot of things we already said. And how I see Him showing up is that He's in every single thing. The things that we don't want to take to Him, the things we don't feel like, well, He doesn't want to know about that. He already knows. He's
Right.
already in it. He already has the plan written for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, for the future, right? In eternity. And so um, I've really had to lean in on that because it's not an easy road. And I think a lot of the people, especially when we start talking about, faith in Jesus and Christianity, feel like, great. So I give my life to Jesus. I put my hope and faith in Him, and sunshine and rainbows for the rest of eternity. And it's
Thank
not
you for
that.
clarifying that, because that is certainly, yeah. Anytime we're talking with people about making that decision, we almost prep them for potentially the opposite. There's so many amazing things, and it's always worth it. But you're not opting into easy; you're opting into worth it, eternal hope, and connection with Him, and a relationship with Him. Yeah.
I'll share one more quote uh, that I think this is when people ask me, like, Trevin, what's your favorite quote? I say the same thing every single time. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. So we are all called to something so much greater than what we could even imagine.
Mm.
And a lot of the times, and I see this show up today, where there are rooms that I sit in there are opportunities and doors that open that present themselves. I don't feel fully qualified to be there. And I have to take a step back to remember that God didn't call me there because I'm qualified and I have all the qualifications to be there. He called me there because that's where I'm meant to be. And as we go through this, He will qualify me. And there's things that you have to learn and grow and just jump into with faith. And He will qualify you and He'll lead you right to where you need to be. And I think the biggest thing, right now for me, Nate, is showing up to serve and impact people. So with what I do, not only from a team perspective, but how I serve my clients is like I have to show up with love, with respect, with integrity, every single day. Right. And so, not only from that perspective, but also then when you start looking at the team, like, how am I showing up to be a godly example, to show what love truly is with positivity, a smile, like, all the great things. And so, that's how the Lord's showing up for me. I'm very blessed, and it's all thanks to Him, and glory goes to God for everything that I'm doing and where we're headed.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's interesting how wise is God in that, because if he calls us to places that we're not fully qualified yet, then that creates a dependence and a deeper desire for us to connect with Him, to lean on Him to get us through that. So it's almost like He knows what He's doing
Yeah.
on some of that. Wait, before we wrap, is there anything else on your mind you want to share before we kind of end our time today? Or if you could talk, let me ask you this: if you could
Yeah.
talk to uh, freshman Treyvin, because there's a version of freshman Treyvin that's coming into the fall at NKU
Ooh. Yeah.
next year. What would you tell that guy?
Yeah. Here's what I would say. People ask me this, Nate, like, if you could go back, would you change it? Would you change what you've had to go through? And the answer is simple. No. There are things that are put in our path to shape and define us and mold us into more like Jesus. And so going back freshman year, when I look back at that, I tell myself, like, I needed to go through that. Although I couldn't see it at the time, there are things that are going to be put in our path to shape us into who we become. And so I would go to say that there are things that come up and it either defines you or refines you,
Mm,
and you get to choose. So if there is a freshman or someone that's entering a stage, and it doesn't even have to be a freshman, maybe they're entering a phase of life or business or something to where uh, you know they're faced with challenges. Just remember that those challenges, those mistakes, those mess ups do not define you. It's
mm,
an ability and a choice and a chance to refine you into who you're becoming, uh, to become more like Jesus.
yeah, to have that perspective. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Mossy, so appreciate you giving us the time, and just kind of as we wrap up the show. Man, it's just so cool to see how God shows up in all seasons of life, and just a huge part of my story is there was people that invested resources to create the places and the people and the spaces for me to have a place to go and grow in my faith, and that's something that we're just passionate about wanting to create those environments and to have those people in place to pour into to athletes and coaches. And one of the best ways to sort of get connected with our ministry, you can follow us on Instagram at NKU FCA. If you're here locally, there's ways you can serve just tangibly, whether it's helping serving a meal or coming in and praying for people. There's some opportunities there. And one of the simplest ways is we've done some math, and it takes about $18 a month to sort of sponsor a spot for college ministry at NKU or Thomas More. So we're talking Bible, shirt, gospel sharing bracelet, stocking the pantry with some food, having coffee during the day, scholarship in some of the kids that want to go to a college athlete retreat, and just having the ministry house and the space and staff support beyond that. So that's kind of the on average. That's what it takes per kid. So if you're interested in sponsoring an athlete, we'll have the link in the show notes. And yeah, we've had some people. We already have a few sponsored. Some people taking one spot, people taking multiple. But now from now until September 1, we're trying to hit our phase one goal of 90 spots, and we're already 10 of the 90 on our way there. So if you want to get involved that way, I invite you to do that to all of our listeners out there. But man, appreciate your time,
Can
Moss.
I add
Thanks
one more
again. Yeah, what's
thing?
up?
Yeah, I want to add one more thing. Um, number one, Nate, just want to say thank you for having me on. Like, I think this is great what you guys are doing and building, and hopefully you're able to connect with other athletes and former athletes and share their journey and their story with faith and their walk there. But number two, like, I'm going to shout you guys out because I just sent you this in a voice message like 3 weeks ago or a month ago. But like, what you guys are doing, you may not always see it like right in the moment, but the impact that you have on kids' lives and student athletes' lives and what they're faced with on college campuses and things like that. Like, I would just encourage you, Nate, to like keep walking the walk and living by an example. And you don't know how many kids' lives you'll impact, and even universities and things like that. So as you guys continue to grow, it's been super cool to be a part of it and what you poured into us in the Norse. But I know you're just going to continue to make an impact for many athletes and whoever comes across your guys' path.
I appreciate you saying that, man. It was such a joy to just to be a small part of that journey that you just described, and you left a tangible mark on the program, on this campus, and other people's lives that yeah you won't know until the other side of eternity. All the to the extent of all the ripples that you made, and it just yeah it came through your surrender, your sacrifice, your obedience, your example. You're speaking life into others consistently, and you're still an encouragement, just like you were just now. So keep being you. The world continues to do more and more Treyvin Moss, and just blessings over you and Liv in the future. And just know that we're always in your corner, even though we're a few hours away here down here in Northland.
Appreciate you, Nate. Thanks for having me again, brother.